The medic from Team Fortress 2 is kind of in a weird place. He's one of the most popular characters in the game, yet everyone is so reluctant to play him. Your team is gonna have 3 spies before it has even 1 medic. And when it comes to Valve, their love for him is, scarce compared to everyone else. He's one of the only classes with no domination lines. He was also one of the last characters to get a dedicated video, and the last of the 9 classes to even get an update. So I guess this guy really isn't all that special, is he? But what if I told you this may be one of the most important characters in the game? And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have gotten into TF2, and I don't think I'd be into film in the same way. My life may have gone in a completely different direction were it not for this character. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. But I do think the medic is great, and out of all the TF2 shorts, I can truly say that Meet the Medic is a masterpiece. So I've already gone to the history of Team Fortress 2 over in my Pyro video, so I won't do it here. Instead, I'm going to go over the history of the medic, or more specifically, the medic as a playable character. If you want some focus on the lore, then there's a great video by SquimJim you should check out. It might surprise you to learn that Medic wasn't always as popular as he is now. In fact, at launch, he was seen as the least interesting member on the team. In a 2007 PC Gamer review, writer Tom Francis noted that the Medic's playstyle was too repetitive and dull compared to the other classes. This is an unfortunate problem healing classes face in an FPS game. For most people, they're either not fun to play, or they're too easy to play. In some cases, you'll even hear the somewhat sexist remark that only girls play healing classes. Listen, if playing Medic makes you a girl, then I guess I'm a fucking girl. Now, I'll admit he has a point here. When you play an FPS game, naturally you want to shoot people. You want to feel powerful, you want to feel like you matter on the battlefield. And Valve actually does a great job at making you feel this way through the use of domination lines. These are unique voice clips given to each character that plays after you kill the same player multiple times. It's pretty much a built-in shit-talking system, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I dare you, rage quit! Come on, make us both happy!
You all just got dominated, city boy.
Not so smart with your brains outside your head, are you? Oh, please, just stay down. Perhaps they can bury you in that van you call home. You are a coward, and you've died like one. The next time you want to kill a man, look him in the eyes.
And every class has this. Everyone except for the Pyro and the Medic. Now, lore-wise, it makes sense for the Pyro since they can't speak. But the Medic can speak. They just gave him no lines. I mean, he laughs occasionally, but that's about it. These lines aren't just fun background details. They bring these characters to life. You personally connect with these characters and their well-defined personalities. And the Medic is just missing a big chunk of that. My point with all of this is that the Medic was kind of neglected by the player base and Valve itself. Which makes it all the more surprising that Meet the Medic is the most viewed short film produced by Valve. Holy shit, how did we get here?
I have no idea!
Actually, he's right, I really can't explain why this specific video blew up like it did. As far as I know, there was no real hype surrounding it. I'd argue that, given the lore, Meet the Pyro probably had the most hype surrounding it, yet it's still 20 million views behind the Medic. The most likely answer is that people keep returning to this video, because in my humble opinion, Meet the Medic is a fucking masterpiece. Back in my Perfect Blue video, I talked about how Satoshi Kon constructs a film. He believed that the most important scene of a film was the opening. A strong opening keeps the audience engaged. For him, the best method was the element of surprise. Something that really catches your attention within the first few seconds. I think some of the best examples of this actually come from the TF2 short films. And Meet the Medic is no exception.
Move, Cyclops, move!
The film begins with a tranquil establishing shot that's abruptly cut by an ongoing war. The movements are quick, the music is exhilarating, I think the lighting effect here from the explosion is really cool. Furthermore, the camera work is chaotic, reflective of the tone of the actual scene. And let's not forget the animation is always stellar in these shorts. The scout gets hit by a rocket and is visibly injured. Back in my Pyro video, I emphasized the idea that TF2 visually presents violence in a comedic way. As a result, whenever we're shown any severe violence, it tends to leave an impact. A similar feeling is felt when we see the scout wince in pain. Like, oh yeah, this is a game about war, and in war, people feel pain. But this is still TF2, so a second later he's hit by 4 rockets and hits a window. In a short amount of time, we've gone through the emotions of excitement, pain, and humor, and it's all done so seamlessly. Whether people realize it or not, there is a lot of attention given to the details in this opening. When you take a step back and analyze it all, it becomes really impressive. So I haven't mentioned this yet, but the medic embodies the mad scientist trope. It's something you can pick up on through the lines in the game, but it becomes much more prominent here.
It gets better. When the patient woke up, his skeleton was missing, and the doctor was never heard from again. Anyway, that's how I lost my medical license.
The medic is voiced by Robin Atkin Downes, and he does a fantastic job of bringing the character to life. Based off his intonations and laughter, people are quick to call the medic crazy. That's not entirely untrue, but I think there's more to it than just that. Characters like the Pyro and the Soldier are actually crazy. They don't interact with the world like everyone else, they live in their own personal fantasy. However, that's not true for the medic. He's been shown to interact with teammates like a normal person. I think the best way to describe him is that he's morbidly curious, namely with how far science can progress. Sometimes his obsession can creep people out, but at the end of the day, he's still a reliable guy, more or less.
Archimedes! No! It's filthy in there. Ugh. Birds.
Okay, so this goes without saying, but the humor in not only this short, but the whole series is so damn perfect. Only in TF2 can a scene like this work.
No, most hearts couldn't withstand this voltage. But I'm fairly certain your heart...
What was noise?
The sound of progress, my friend.
We live in a time where mainstream comedy is dominated by reference humor and one-liners, so it's a real treat to have some more natural dialogue humor that doesn't linger too long. So after the heavy dies, the medic gets him a new Mega Baboon heart.
Perfect. Kill me later.
The spy head here is actually a reference to the outtake version of Meet the Medic. A rough draft, if you will. Now, the draft version isn't bad per se, but it's definitely rough. However, it does provide something to compare to. This version was scrapped early on, so some aspects are of lower quality, namely the animation and the pacing. Instead, I want to focus on the concept they were going for. Like previous entries, the draft went for a more documentary-style approach. The medic is interviewed about one of his darkest days, where his teammates were all dying around him. He decapitates a spy, but is then blown up by a rocket. A mixture of medicine and blood revive the heavy, and make the spy head invincible.
Kill me! Kill me! Kill me!
The medic then incorporates this new discovery into his medigun and creates Ubercharge. And that's the short. The first thing you'll notice is how off the medic sounds.
When you're a field medic, doing no harm is not the issue. In fact, I often found the best medicine was preventative.
Prior to Meet the Medic, the only concrete thing about his character was his mad scientist trope. But here he sounds rather calm and collected. These two personalities conflict with one another. In the final product, Medic's characterization is much more fleshed out. He has rapport with his teammates, he's a lover of birds, and he's passionate about his weird experiments. This adds on to what we already know about him, rather than contradict it. The other issue is that this draft doesn't know if it wants to tell its story through visuals or narration. Take this scene for instance.
In the time it took to save one patient, 100 more took his place.
we are shown exactly what the medic says, but we could already visualize that for ourselves, making the use of one or the other kind of pointless. Let's compare this to a scene in Meet the Sniper when he says this.
Professionals have standards. Be polite. Be efficient.
You understand what he's saying, but you can't visualize a scene of just the adjectives efficient and polite. So the short gives you that context. I know some of you might think I'm nitpicking here, but that's the difference between what makes a decent short and what makes a masterpiece. This draft is fine, but the medic definitely needed something more exciting. Something to entice audiences to play him. And this short just didn't cut it. Anyways, the medic charges a mega baboon heart and inserts it inside the heavy.
Should I be awake for this?
Then no.
It should be noted that during this whole procedure, the medic is not wearing gloves. Kinda gross, my dude.
It's filthy in there. Ugh.
Before we end this scene, I have to compliment the incorporation of the film's score. The song playing here is called A Little Heart to Heart, and just like this scene, it too cycles through various tones. It starts off with this comical vibe, then it gets faster and more exciting, and then it ends with this majestic choir. It just helps the already great structure and pacing of the scene. So with the heavy fully healed, we end the sequence with one of the medic's most famous lines.
What happens now?
Now? Let's go practice medicine.
Quick shots build up hype for a final shot of the medic as he walks onto the battlefield. It's quite the angelic shot, reflective of his role as a savior/healer, in his own twisted way. As his team starts dying around him, the music starts to swell into this loud but powerful theme. And yeah, you saw that correctly, there was an eye patch under his eye patch. One of my favorite aspects of this series is how well it incorporates gameplay mechanics and playstyles into the shorts. Like in Meet the Spy, we're shown backstabs, the sapper, and disguises. I think it's a good way to show newer players how each character is supposed to function. Now, that's not the case in every short, like The Engineer, and it certainly wasn't done correctly in the draft version. In it, the medic doesn't do a lot of healing. He actually does a lot more killing.
In fact, I often found the best medicine was preventative.
This is contradictory to how the character should be played. As a medic main, I can tell you that you almost never want to fight someone. You have the tools to defend yourself, but you're better off trying to escape. You're one of the most important players on the battlefield, so if you die, your respawn time could be the difference between your team surviving and getting steamrolled. So this may look cool, but it doesn't teach the best gameplay philosophy. The best approach was instead to make healing look fucking awesome, which it is. There is a certain level of power and importance you feel when you pick your teammates back up. This man was on the brink of death, and now he's bashing people's heads in. And I played a little part in that. And now we get to the big event of the film, unleashing the first Uber charge.
Doctor, are you sure this will work?
I have no idea!
This is one of my favorite sequences ever. The humor, the angles, the use of zoom in, and the music all give this scene so much power and impact. The heavy walking out of this explosion gives him this monstrous presence. And obviously, when you want to emphasize power, you gotta use a beautiful low angle like this. Everyone is in awe. I think it was a great call to go from the medic first discovering Uber to instead focus on the first time he uses it. Even if you don't play medic often, it's an experience every player can relate to, using the Uber charge as a game changer. But folks, we're not even done yet. we conclude this film with one of my favorite shots ever. As enemy corpses pile up, our pair starts to climb to the heavens. The music reaches its dramatic conclusion as our two kings take their rightful place at the very top. Fucking beautiful. Oh, and let's not forget the end credit scene where the scout gets fucked up.
Oh man, you would not believe how much this hurts.
Archimedes?
Some of you may think I'm being a bit overdramatic, but I'd argue I'm only so passionate because of the passion that is put into this game. Or was. It's been over a year since my hopeful message at the end of my Pyro video, and unfortunately we still haven't gotten any big news. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, the TF2 community already has plenty of those, so I'm still going to remain hopeful. Besides, no matter what, I still always have the medic. You know, this was originally supposed to be a short video where I talked about how cool Meet the Medic is, but after the first day of writing, I realized I had more to say than just this is epic. In fact, I found myself relating to the medic. Not literally, but in a different way. Listen, we've all felt unremarkable, boring, insignificant at some point in our lives. But give it some time and you might realize that maybe you got something special going on. Your passion will be appreciated. So the next time you see a medic player on your team, make sure to thank him. Not just the player behind the screen, but also the character himself. Cause I don't think this game would be quite as special without him. Hey everybody, I want to give a big thanks to my supporters over at Patreon, with a special shout out to my ascended cat, Little Shy Fry. The fact that anyone wants to fund my bizarre video projects is awesome and really motivates me to improve. As you all know, I am the master of overcomplicating my topics, but I think that's part of my charm. I am overdramatic, I am passionate, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So yeah, big thanks to you guys, and I hope to see you all next time. Take care.